courtroom is silent, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. In front of the judge stands a black man, Michael Johnson, his face stoic, but his eyes burning with something deeper. He's been accused of a crime he didn't commit, an assault on a police officer. The evidence, fabricated, twisted, and held up by the white officers who stand across the room, smirking, confident that their power will crush him. But there's something they don't know, something that, if revealed, will tear apart their entire story. Michael isn't just a regular man. He's not some powerless victim of a system that has oppressed him for years. No, he's someone far more dangerous, far more skilled than they could ever imagine. And when the truth finally explodes in that courtroom, the shockwave will leave everyone questioning everything they thought they knew about justice and about him. Before we jump into today's story, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. If you love powerful stories of justice, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so you never miss what's coming next. Now, let's get started. Michael Johnson had always been the kind of man who blended into the background. In a world where attention was a currency, he preferred to stay invisible. Tall, quiet, and with an unassuming demeanor, he was the kind of person most people overlooked. But those who really knew him, the ones who saw past the surface, understood that he was different. They knew about the battles he fought in silence, the pain he carried without a word, and the discipline that ran deeper than most could comprehend. A former military operative, he had trained in the shadows, learning things that most people would never dream of. Yet, despite his strength and skill, the world saw him as just another black man, easy to dismiss, easy to underestimate. But today, in that courtroom, everything was about to change. It all started with a simple mistake. Or so they thought. Michael was on his way home from a late meeting when he was suddenly stopped by two white officers. Without warning, they claimed he matched the description of a suspect in a recent assault case. The problem? The description was vague at best, and Michael didn't fit it in any way that mattered. But they didn't care. To them, he was just another black man in the wrong place at the wrong time. It didn't take long for things to escalate. Words were exchanged, hands were raised, and before Michael knew it, he was being accused of striking one of the officers in self-defense. The officers, of course, insisted it was the other way around, painting him as the aggressor. They had the power to make their version of events stick, and they planned to use it. No one seemed to question their story. Not the witnesses, not the public. But Michael knew the truth, and the truth, hidden beneath the weight of prejudice, was far more dangerous than anyone realized. As the days dragged on, Michael's fate seemed sealed. The court trial was set, and the evidence against him was mounting. But what no one knew, what no one could even begin to guess, was that Michael wasn't just a random man caught in the crossfire. He wasn't some helpless victim of systemic racism or a powerless man struggling against the law. Michael had been trained to handle far worse than a biased arrest. His quiet exterior hid years of covert operations, combat training, and intelligence work. He had been a top agent in the CIA, tasked with missions so secretive that even the government kept them under wraps. His true identity was a well-guarded secret, one that, if revealed, could dismantle everything the officers believed about themselves and their so-called power. And yet, Michael wasn't ready to reveal it. Not yet. As the trial went on, something began to gnaw at Michael. The more the officers lied, the more he sensed that something was off. Their stories didn't quite add up. Details in the police report were inconsistent, witnesses seemed shaky, and the evidence, though seemingly solid, felt forced. The pressure from the defense team to make him out as a criminal only grew, and yet Michael's instincts told him there was more to this than a simple case of racial profiling. He began to investigate in the only way he knew how, carefully, methodically, and under the radar. He visited the scene of the supposed assault, re-examining every angle, every inch of pavement. He dug into the backgrounds of the officers who had arrested him, tracing their movements and connections, uncovering things that they didn't want anyone to see. What he found was unsettling. These officers weren't just corrupt. They were involved in something far bigger, something darker. But Michael was running out of time. The walls were closing in, and the truth was dangerous enough to change everything. The day of the final court hearing arrived, and the tension in the room was unbearable. The defense had played their part, painting Michael as a dangerous criminal, but something in the air felt different now. As Michael stood up to testify, his calm presence seemed to shake the room. The officers on the stand, still confident in their lies, didn't notice the small, almost imperceptible changes happening around them. Michael had kept his secrets hidden long enough, but now, as he addressed the courtroom, the truth began to unravel in the most explosive way possible. He spoke in measured tones, recounting his past, revealing the skills and training that no one knew about. The defense team shifted nervously as Michael's words began to sink in. But the real shock came when Michael dropped a bombshell, the truth about the officers. He revealed their ties to an illegal operation involving drugs and corruption, with damning evidence that Michael had carefully uncovered during his investigation. Their lies weren't just about framing him, they were about covering their tracks, and now, all of it was coming to light. The courtroom went silent as the officers' smug expressions turned into panic. It was clear their world was collapsing. As the truth flooded the courtroom, the weight of the officers' actions became undeniable. The judge ordered immediate investigations into their corruption, and within hours, both officers were arrested, their careers and freedom shattered by their own lies. Michael, once an invisible man in a world quick to judge him, now stood as the one who had revealed the dark undercurrents of a broken system. The community that had once seen him as just another face in the crowd now looked at him with a new respect, their admiration mixed with disbelief. His name would be remembered not for the crime he didn't commit, but for the justice he fought to uncover. As Michael left the courthouse, his thoughts were calm, though the weight of what had happened would never fully leave him. He had uncovered the truth, but at a cost, and yet, in the quiet of his heart, he knew that the true power didn't lie in the secrets he had kept, nor in the hidden skills he had revealed. It lay in the courage to stand up, even when the world was stacked against you, and to trust, even in the darkest moments, that the truth would eventually rise. The moral of his story? Never underestimate the quiet strength of the underdog. They might just be the ones to bring the truth to light when it matters most. Thank you for watching. Maya's story reminds us that standing up for what's right can create lasting change. Whether it's overcoming adversity or challenging injustice, your voice matters. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment with your thoughts on the story. Let's keep this conversation going. And remember, sharing these stories helps spread the message of justice and fairness, one act of courage at a time. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it today.